Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Finally, or for the first time, I hear Vladimir Putin, or the Russians in this case, stating clearly what they expect or how they expect Ukraine to look after the war in Ukraine ends. I had all kind of, assessments, predictions that the Russians, will go over there, will install some puppet government, that they will take over somehow, and they will, make sure that they are ruling directly or indirectly. I never thought that Ukraine will be independent. I never thought that the Russians will ever allow the Ukrainians to rule themselves again. And contrary to all these assessments that I have, Putin again proves, for I don't know how many times, that, how should I put it? I put it straight. I am rarely impressed by someone. Rarely. Why? Not impressed by something I can do, not impressed by something that I think of, and someone comes with an idea that I had the idea, 20 years ago or something like this. I am impressed with Putin, with people who come with something that really I feel inferior to that person. I say, that person is much better than me. Yeah, you can say, well, Emil, you're paranoid here, you think you're the best. Well, I compare myself with people around me. So, nevertheless, it's not about me here. My point is, I'm very impressed again by Putin, how far he can go. And I will show you. Here is what Putin proposes to happen in Ukraine after the war ends. Here, Russia Today, the 27th of May 2025. Putin proposes the United Nations to temporarily govern Ukraine. I never thought that the Russians are going to do this. Never thought that they will do this. They do it. Now, do they really mean that? Time will tell. This is the first topic for this video. And the second topic of this video is finally, Putin reveals that he will never, well, he's kind of late. He will never trust the Western partners again until he's going to verify. Well, I think you should have done this before. And to bring something to this second subject is a video. Actually, there are two videos that I made, one in December 2023 and the other one in February 2024, where Putin reveals his two greatest regrets. And the first regret, I'm leaving, ciao, see ya. The first regret is the advice that he should have given to himself younger, and that's exactly about the West. So let's start with the first topic. Russia Today. Putin proposes the United Nations to temporarily govern Ukraine. Russian president has reiterated that current authorities in Ukraine are illegitimate as there were no elections held. All right, so that's the start. The Americans must get rid of those guys in order to achieve peace somewhere. Russian President Vladimir Putin has suggested discussing the establishment of temporary governance in Ukraine under the guidance of the United Nations and several countries. Is it going to be a bigger Minsk agreement? The aim would be to conduct elections in the country since Vladimir Zelensky's presidential term officially expired in May 2024, according to the Russians' interpretation of the Ukrainian constitution. Moscow sees no clear way to sign any agreements with Kiev since, and I'm quoting, others leaders might come tomorrow. Putin explained on Thursday night while addressing the sailors of the Arkhangelsk nuclear submarine, and I'm quoting, in such cases, international practice follows a well-known path within the framework of the United Nations peacekeeping activities. Several instances have already demonstrated what is referred to as external management or temporary administration. Temporary for what? 5 centuries? He suggested. external powers should facilitate elections in Ukraine, and I'm quoting, to establish a capable government that has the trust of the people. I think that's going to be controlled by the Russians. They will never, never, never allow the West to stick its tail again in Ukraine. Putin stressed after that the new Ukrainian government could begin negotiations with Moscow and sign a peace agreement, and I'm quoting, they would be recognized around the world and will be reliable and stable. However, I like when they say, yes, I love you, but Pula, that means you don't love me. Putin also stressed that temporary governments is only one possible option, and I'm quoting, in general, we support resolving conflicts peacefully, including this one, but not at our expense, he concluded. All right, got it? So they want to bring United Nations, there's many details in this, obviously, bring United Nations, a few countries, get these guys out of the office, the current imbeciles, conduct elections, whomever wins, wins, let's say Zaluzny or Klitschko, these are the guys, but who's going to vote? Only the Ukrainians. That means Donbass and Crimea is gone. So that means it's going to be among Ukrainians, Romanians, Poles, Hungarians, the Ukrainians, okay? And whoever wins is going to be there. And then it's going to be the guarantees. And then he said, we're going to come and sign papers with the new government, which is we're going to impose what's going on here. So I think that he just means in this case that we need the United Nations to facilitate with us, with Americans, with others, the elections, and then the will of the Ukrainian people, the guys in charge, the representatives, the elected officials, will then negotiate with us, which is the war will continue. Many details, because you have to go A, B, C, you can't go A, C, B, M, E, and so on. All right, so very intelligent, very intelligent. I think this is the first time when Putin says clearly how he sees next steps going in Ukraine. A good idea, good, smart. Next, this comes also from Russia Today, from the 27th of March. Russia will never blindly trust Western partners again. Well, I don't think the Western were partners. I think they were people who wanted to pull a Gaddafi on you. The Russian leader has stated that Moscow will no longer tolerate diplomatic deception. You shouldn't have tolerated that in the first place. President Vladimir Putin has emphasized that Moscow's trust in European capitals has been fundamentally broken, stating that while Russia remains open to working with the European Union to resolve the Ukraine conflict, it will no longer do so on the basis of trust. The remarks came during Putin's meeting with Russian submarine Papa. Let's see what he says. We are ready to work with Europe, but they behave inconsistently and keep trying to string us along. That's fine, we are used to it now. I hope we won't make any more mistakes based on trust in our so-called Western partners. Unfortunately, he said, former leaders of some Western countries, specifically former French President Hollande and former French Chancellor Angela Merkel, openly and without shame admitted that they only needed the Minsk agreements to rearm the Ukrainian regime and prepare it for a military action against us, end quote. He added that European diplomacy has become little more than a smokescreen, and I'm quoting, we tried to resolve these issues peacefully for 8 years, he said. Even when the conflict entered a hot phase in 2022, we still proposed to solve everything at a negotiating table. That's exactly like Adolf. He did the same thing with the allies. How many emissaries he sent the Americans, French, and the baboons in Great Britain to negotiate. And the guy said, no, we're going to fuck you up. We got you in this one. We got you in this one. We're going to work for our good friends from, you know what I mean, Balfour Declaration. And I'm quoting, it is well known that Western handlers arrived and persuaded the Ukrainian leadership to continue armed resistance to the end, essentially to the last Ukrainian, with the goal of inflicting a strategic defeat on Russia. That's why the Americans are not negotiating because they are winning, but because they are losing something. And I'm quoting, of course, it would be possible under the UN auspices and together with United Nations, European countries and our partners to discuss the introduction of temporary administration in Ukraine in order to hold democratic elections and bring a capable, trusted government to power with whom we could then sign legally binding agreements. We must, without question, ensure Russia's security for the long historical perspective. Now, question: what do you think if someone breaks the agreements? Like Zelensky did not like anything about the Minsk agreements. What will you do? You just say, I don't like it, and the guys on his side say, yeah, you're entitled to do that. Or maybe they just close an eye on that. And now let me show you the two videos where you can go and watch them that I made a while ago. One in December 14th, 2023, and the other one February 15th, 2024. Putin's only regret and advice to younger self. And he says, just like King Stephen the Great, don't trust the ... That was the title. And the other one is Putin's second regret: I didn't attack Ukraine earlier. He said he trusted the West. Right here. Go and watch those videos. All right? If you want. And if you don't, I want to catch you. Anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. So, good next steps in Ukraine. Well, now you get a smack, like a child. When I was a child, it was like this. I had a mom and I had a dad. And when I did something stupid, I got in trouble, that is, and I got home and I would tell my mom would beat the shit out of me. Why did you do that? Why did you? I told you so many times. I told you. Like that would change anything at that point. But anyway, that's the way she was. My father was, okay, come over here, sit here, baboon. Okay, sit here. Okay, how can we solve the problem? So, okay, give me the information, but what can we do to solve it? And then after things, got solved in a certain way, then he would talk to me and say, why did you do this? I mean, is this smart? I mean, what were you thinking of? But he was, and therefore, after a while, like a baboon that I was, I got the, how do you call it? I got the pattern. So I knew which one I should access when I fucked up. And I did it many, many times, okay? So I didn't go to my mom. I would go to my dad, close the door and talk to my dad. And my mom would get in, what's going on here? And she would, and all that. So that was in the Kosman's family. My brother was a good guy, so he didn't get in trouble. I got in trouble. I got myself in trouble many times. So just so you know, now the same thing. You got in trouble, Ukraine. I'm not going to smack you like my mom. I'm going to put you here like my dad, and let's see how we solve it from now. What's gone, it's gone. We're going to take that into consideration, and that's the framework of future. Past, how do you call it, predicts the future. So past actions and behavior could predict the future. Same here. We're not going to fall in the same mistakes. We're not going to do the same mistakes we did in the past. Well, I did. Anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. Small one. As a child, at about the age of 16, I was the perfect Emil that you see, right? Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.